All right, moving on to our AI Edge section, which we've already kind of touched on here. We just want to hit on some of the top headlines and then give our tip of the week. So we'll just go through these kind of rapid fire here. So Evan just mentioned Spotify has introduced the DJ, which is just using AI to essentially give you a personalized DJ that can make recommendations for your music. Notion has taken its Notion AI out of beta. This, I think, is an important headline because lots of businesses already have like knowledge bases or collaboration tools within Notion. So they're already using them. They already have a lot of data in them. Now it's being supercharged with AI. That's actually going to be our tip of the week, is how to use Notion AI, just because we know a lot of startups in particular use Notion as their collaboration tool or knowledge bases. Now it's, as Evan said, supercharged by AI. Meta has now announced that they're releasing a large language model similar to GPT-3. This one, it sounds like, is going to be given to researchers, at least initially, and they're going to be very transparent about how they built it, what they trained it on, and allow research to be done on it. But just another big tech company getting into this AI race that we're seeing. And then finally here, we have companies like Amazon, JP Morgan, and some other big organizations just warning their employees against using ChatGPT due to security concerns. So Amazon specifically came out and said, hey, not so fast when it comes to giving our code into ChatGPT and trying to get it to complete it or do different things with that code for you, because ChatGPT is collecting data that it's being trained on. So if you feed in proprietary code into ChatGPT, the concern here is that ChatGPT is going to be able to use that code to train itself on, and then you don't want that confidential information being used in a training set. So those are our headlines of the week.
Yeah, one interesting one with Meta that I'm curious about is, are they going to have an advantage when it comes to like really good conversational back and forth?
Yeah.
So ChatGPT, which is now in Bing, and Google's model, they probably have a lot of like information and stuff from pages like Wikipedia and just web pages. What Facebook has that I think is going to be really interesting is a lot of the just general conversation that humans have with each other.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm wondering if the model is going to be better at basically recreating conversation that seems like it's more with a human. It's more, emotional because a lot of, the data that you put out on Instagram, Facebook, and, these chat experiences when you're talking from human to human, I mean, that's just more natural.
Yeah.
I wonder if it's going to be more natural conversation.
Yeah, I heard. This is just me reading a headline, so don't hold me to this. But I saw that this one is apparently going to be better trained than ChatGPT or GPT-3. I'm sorry. So I'm wondering if that's the thinking behind that. Anyway, let's get to our tip of the week before signing off here, and that is just around using Notion AI. So it's going to be very similar to using ChatGPT, but this one's going to be very geared towards your existing processes if you already use Notion. So if you don't use Notion, I'll share my screen real quick, which it looks like my screen share is, of course, not wanting to work as it typically does. But Notion is a great tool for just having all of your information about the company, whether it's your projects you're working on, a knowledge base for your employees to go and find information that they need, or just a good note-taking place. Notion kind of does it all. So now Notion AI is allowing companies to basically access OpenAI's chat or GPT-3 language model. So you can go in. So for example, what I wanted to share my screen on that it doesn't want to cooperate with me is, let's say we're hosting a brainstorming meeting. So in this example, I said we're hosting a brainstorming meeting to come up with ideas for how we can market our podcast to a wider variety of listeners. All I have to do is put that in. Let's say I'm preparing for a meeting with my colleagues. I give a summary of what the meeting is going to be about, and then I can just say, hey, I'm going to ask AI to continue writing. And this is what AI is coming up with. So it says, here are some ideas to consider. Reach out to influencers and ask them to promote our podcast, create a social media campaign that highlights our most interesting aspects, host a live event or Q&A session, partner with other podcasts to cross-promote, utilize paid advertising. It's really just supercharging a brainstorming session here. So whether you've already had all of the meeting and now you have a bunch of notes in it and you wanted to condense those notes into action items, whether you wanted to rewrite a sentence that you've written here, a lot of the same things that we've talked about in this AI Edge segment around how you would use ChatGPT, you can now supercharge your meetings and your collaboration that you're already doing in Notion by adding AI to it. So a lot of cool features in there. Would just encourage you, if you use Notion, to start playing around with Notion AI. If you don't use Notion, it's a great tool, even for an individual. I use it just for myself, for my own organization. Go in, mess around with it, see if you can find some ways for AI to give you that edge.